All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is Wednesday, June 29th, 2016, 63 years after the birth of the Viper guy that draws the lines. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading rooms, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we might have, our live trading rooms or anything else with Viper Trading System should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? Michael says, happy birthday, my turn at midnight, 71. All right. Well, I got 63 today at like 5 a.m. this morning. My mother always told me years ago that she never felt old until her sons turned 40. That's been a long time ago. All right, let's go ahead and go to the chart. Bear with me a second. And what we're going to talk about tonight is a little bit more basic, but you know, you can't get too basic in trading, believe me, because too many people can't see the individual trees for the forest, right? You got to break it down. You got to see what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to ask a real simple question on this chart here. What is the trend as you look at that chart with those highs and lows? You'd say up, right? So obviously you want to be really careful taking shorts until it changes. Okay, and that's kind of flat. That's exactly right. But that's what they do, is they thrust, they pull back, they retrace, you know, they consolidate and everything. But the whole thing is that we want to try to stay with the trend. Now, you probably see that bottom deal that says coming very soon, a new indicator that shows the trends and the strength of all four lightnings at a glance. And that is going to be done, I think, sometime tonight. And I'll be able to get it tested out and all that kind of stuff and make sure everything works on it. But I think you'll like it because, to give an example, there was a blip in YM, I think, around the open. Yeah, everybody remember that, where we were in a nice long and then all of a sudden they just plowed it down. Did you know they never, even with that plow down that they did, never changed the trend? And that lightning indicator would show that at a glance. Okay, so I think you'll like that, and we'll try to get it to where everybody has the settings that really work the way we all trade, because we want to get in trades quick and we want to get out of trades quick. I know, Walter, I got caught on that one too. That slammed through my stop like it wasn't even there. And the bad thing about it was, if you're using exit on close, it's got to breach that line and fire a market order. There's no limit orders, you know, any type of order at your broker except that one that's way down below. And I'm pretty sure that's the one that tagged me, because, you know, I had a little bit up with that first burst, and then all of a sudden, you know, it took every dime of it, and, you know, you had to work your way back. Might have been up a little bit, I don't remember, but it was kind of frustrating, actually. And that type of thing happens all the time, you know, with the markets moving. And we've got to know where our support and resistance is, because, you know, you don't want to just get literally just shaken, you know, out of trades and then start going the wrong direction, because that's exactly what the markets want you to do. I mean, they're not stupid. You know, they've got those algorithms, you know, that know how to try to take anybody's money. And we've got to be smarter than they are by using our eyes and our minds to see the chart and what's actually happening on the chart. And everybody that answered the up, and even the up and flat, that's actually fine, because if you draw on this chart, you'll notice that even with our lightning 4, this indicator is heading up, isn't it? Lightning 3, which is our control key, I'll just draw it from here, is also heading up, isn't it? See your thrust, your retrace, thrust, retrace. Are those lows getting taken out? Now that low got taken out, didn't it? But did it ever take that high out to establish that low? No, it didn't. That doesn't mean that you can't box this in and probably get a little short, because it did come down expecting naturally just to take a scalp, because if you don't take out this previous low, it's not heading down. Everybody see that, right? On support and resistance, because it's really important to be able to see this in real time on your chart, because this is the type of thing they do all the time. Okay, so what we're actually looking for, now let's put lightning 1 on it, and basically we're up to what, 415? So we've had like a little thrust, right? So what are we waiting for? Well, we're waiting for a pullback. Isn't that correct? Now, let me ask you a question. With the same thing that I just mentioned, with higher lows and higher highs, what swing can we not take out and continue heading up? And again, this is important, because remember, the definition of a trend is higher lows and higher highs for a long, and lower highs and lower lows for a short, right? And if you're getting faked out, you know, there are actually 4 trends on the chart. I think we all know that. There's that little micro trend, okay? There's a little bit more of a secondary trend. Then you've got your lightning 3 like this, and you got your lightning 4. Okay, and this is pretty much telling you which direction to stay with the trend. That's why there's going to be a little box up here that's going to have 4 quadrants on it. It'll be just separated into 4 quadrants, and it'll have lightning 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you're going to be able to see, without drawing on this chart like this, what is the overall trend of lightning 3 and 4, which are really your most important ones for the trend. And then, of course, you can trade the other one. You know, for instance, I wouldn't be against shorting this one here if I saw this in real time. Double topped up here, took out this swing. I'd figure I could get to at least here and possibly even close to here. And, you know, and you do, but you got to expect that it's also going to hit its head at support. Now, where is support if you look at this chart? Well, you draw in a couple of places, for instance, like this. And where is support on this chart? Well, notice that when this came down, when it broke like this, it came right to one of these previous support areas on these swings. And I'll bet you more than likely, if you had this on with your predictor and everything, I'll bet you that's some kind of a predictor that was just fairly deep, but it probably just bounced right off of it. Okay? So we're going to look at, I'll look at a different one today. I don't even trade NQ, but I went ahead and popped up an NQ chart, and we'll just trade it and everything. But I want to teach everybody tonight that you can see 4 different trends on your chart with lightning, but you want to be sure that you're very careful except for scalping unless the trend has actually changed. Okay, and this new lightning or whatever indicator we call it, power meter, voltage meter, amp meter, you know, whatever, we don't know yet. But when it shows up here green, you know, it'll be probably in this quadrant right here. If it shows green, and it's even going to have gradients of green, so it's going to know, for instance, a low never took out the high, so that low doesn't count. There's a higher low. Then it starts going, I'm going to go a little bit darker green. And then it pops up again, takes out the high. Here's another low that's even higher than that one. So it goes even a darker green. And then pretty soon, when you get up to these monster runs, this is going to be a deep green chart, letting you see that you're pretty safe taking longs, in other words. Okay, so I think this little meter is going to help a lot of people out, and because I know lightning has. You know, lightning is just basically being able to draw swings on your chart and then make them disappear so they don't, you know, clutter up your chart. And that's the whole reason that it was designed. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at a chart now, and let's see if we can make some trades, because I know we had some around the open that were called live, and I want everybody to see why they were called. Okay, so I'm going to show you the actual chart that we were just looking at. right here. Now, one thing you want to be really careful of is what? You don't want to chase trades, okay? For instance, if you got up, you got your coffee, and you're sitting in the room, and you draw on your charts like you should be, there's resistance right up there, isn't there? Would you take that trade long? I mean, seriously, I know people that do that, and it's already thrust. So what do you think it's more than likely going to do? Well, let's find out what it actually is going to do. It'll probably blow up through there. Barely got a little bit of green here, but let's just see what it does. And then I want everybody to kind of tell me, where the next trade is going to be on here. Yeah, you got to wait for the pullback. Hardy's saying that. Hardy's been with us a long time, and because if you don't wait for the pullback, I can just about tell you this, that more than likely, without only hitting that twice there, they're probably going to hit their head somewhere right in here, maybe a little bit above, and then poke it back down. Okay, it doesn't mean we're going to short it. I'll have a webinar here in the next few weeks on some counter trend trading, but in the meantime, we're just going to stay with the trend. And by the way, Lightning 3 on this new indicator would actually still be telling you, even though this happened right here, that this is still a long chart. Okay? Now, doesn't mean that we can't short this, obviously, because you're going to have another indicator that's part of those 4 there that's going to be your Lightning 1 or 2. And yes, you can short those. And matter of fact, you'll notice that this even changed to red. Well, you could have shorted, like boxing it in, for instance. You could have gotten this little trade here even, just right underneath here when it broke. Okay, we do that all the time. All right, see how that did just like I said it would? That happens so many times, it's pathetic. And by the way, there's a lot of people that probably would have shorted that by now because it rolled over. Okay, but we're not going to do counter trend trades today. And we're probably not going to be trading at all if we don't get Object Trader on here. Let's get Object Trader on here. Now, what are we waiting for on this chart? Well, we're waiting for a pullback, aren't we? Now, let me ask you a question real quick before we get any kind of a pullback, because this webinar is about support and resistance. We're not talking about the longer term now. We're talking about the pullback. Okay? Now, what I like to personally do is I like to see where they broke out. Okay? And I look at this chart right here and I say, okay, they came down, little retrace, came down. They popped lightning right through here and popped up. Came back a little bit, popped up again, came back a little bit. They haven't even checked this area or any of them. So where do you think they're more than likely going to test here? Because how many times have you seen this where you box this in, you take the trade, it goes up to previous resistance, and it comes almost right back into that same area? Because that's, anytime they pop out without actually scratching around on top of this and actually showing that they're accepting it as support, you see what I mean? When they break it as resistance, and then they, let's say they popped up and they pulled right back into it. Well, then they've tested it. So then you look for another level, okay? But they haven't tested this yet, okay? So if I was actually looking at this chart to trade, I'd be looking, this would be way too shallow, wouldn't get you enough money. I'd want to probably break this at least a little bit, okay? And then I'm saying, oh, wait a minute, there's my mid band. And then I'm going to draw one more right here, okay? That's the way we draw those in the room. Let me get rid of this top one. We don't care about it. And we really don't want this one. It's too shallow. Okay, so we're looking for that trade right there or that trade right there. Okay, now another beautiful thing that comes into the picture is going to be this, the predictor. Okay, because predictor is in the background saying, you know what, Gary, I'm looking at those prices for you. I'm seeing what these charts are doing. I know what those swing strengths are. I know where those retracements should come down to. I know where they should also go back up to when they bounce. So, those can be pretty powerful for us if you simply wait for them. Okay? So let's see if we can get a little trade here. We'll do Matter of fact, let's just do 2 charts just so we can see which one will trigger. Let me get another NQ chart here. And we'll put Object Trader on it too. Yeah, here we go. Let me bring it over. And I'll make it only about half the screen. That way we can see the other one like we should. Something like that. Just bring it over like that. And then we'll do this one with the little deeper because I'm thinking it's going to come down into here. So let's see. We'll just do a little deeper on it. Like so, because that's where it just thrust out of. All right, and I'm not going to care about any kind of a breakout, so I'm just going to get this out of the way. We're not going to take a breakout, but I want this trade right down in here. Okay, and if we go shallower than mid-band, I'm only going to scalp it. So let me put this chart on top here real quick. Always on top. There we go. All right, and then I'm going to also take this one here, even on a shallow retracement, if it hits here and hits its head. So I'm going to do another region right there. Get this out of the way. Do a touch plus 2. And we'll do a few contracts there and a few contracts here. And since we're in basically chop, you can pretty much tell, I'm just going to scalp them both just to see if we can get something. Now this won't be as much money, obviously, because it's NASDAQ, it's not Russell, it's not oil, but that's okay. So let's fire it up and see if we can get one of those 2 trades. And keep in mind the ellipse also, will be a pretty good area. Now, one rule of thumb to keep on your mid-band type trades, you really want your mid-band type trade to be below mid-band on a long or above mid-band on a short. Otherwise, they're a little riskier. For instance, that trade triggered, and it triggered right off an ellipse. Let's see if we can get some profit on it. I'll just stop it out if it just happens to come back through here, because I still want it to come down deeper. But we got 30 bucks. Not too shabby. Just going to go for little scalps and see what we can get. Didn't get anything on the left chart. May not get anything on the right chart. Now, what's another rule of thumb we go by? That hasn't done an ABC yet, has it? There's your A, there's your B starting. And I'll bet you're going to get a little deeper, which will be your C, and that's what I'm hoping for on the left chart. Now, could I actually, since this is already up like 75 bucks, that's not too shabby for a couple of contracts. You could just hit close, couldn't you? I mean, how many jobs out there can you make $75 in just a few minutes? That's not too shabby to begin with. What I'm going to show you tonight is just trading support and resistance, and we're just going to scalp and see if we can hit some goals that people might be happy with. That's right at a resistance area right there. See how that bar is trying to pull back a little bit? More than likely, that's as high as it's going to go. It just hit resistance. I'm going to close that one out. A, B, we need a C. Let's see if we can get another ellipse. Probably is going to go up there and tag my target, but hey, 50 bucks is 50 bucks. And by the way, this was before we even opened the room here. I'll show you the trade that we actually called live in the room here. Yeah, it would have gotten my second target. That's good. Okay, there's, what time is it? About 8:17. Okay, we got this chart set right here. Now this is getting closer to the open. And do you remember a trade that we called in the room this morning that was actually, matter of fact, there's the ellipse right there. And I'm usually ready if it doesn't get my ellipse or my trade, I'm ready to hit market. Awful close to our, there it is. We just got it. Now, didn't that pull back exactly where we talked about that it should pull back to? And by the way, that can be a runner because that's closer to the open of the market. Everybody see that? Wait for the A, the B, and the C. Now, if you're going to do the micro one, be sure, you know, when you pull back just into like previous support area, you know, always look and see where they also broke out, because markets are continually going from support to resistance and back to support. I'll slow this down a little bit because that's right at the open. That's quick. Okay, now let me ask you a quick question now that everybody should probably get. Where do you think the longer term support seems like it's setting up as we speak? Anybody see it? Because we just broke 1650, which was our high, right? Okay, so we're flat on this one, so let's go ahead, move this one out of the way. We'll still stay with this trade, but I'm going to just get it out of the way so we can see this one, because I'm going to set up a trade ahead of time. Now it's got to thrust up first. We're not going to take it just now, because what's our rule? We're not going to take a thrust, right? We're going to take a pullback. That should be good enough, actually, I think, right there, that we can go ahead and set this. And I'm going to set this like a touch plus 3, because they don't always come back exactly to it, and sometimes they come back even a little deeper. Where did it break out? Well, it broke out right there at 1390, didn't it? 1390-ish. See where it broke that little box there? So I'm going to draw two lines on here and see where we might be coming back to. There's a lot of support at 1575 and 1650. So I would probably go something like that, because it broke out right here. We're trying to get a retracement trade. And let's see if we can. And we'll actually see if we can, if we have to take it down a little bit or whatever. But right now we're looking for a pullback into the 1650 area. But I'll tell you where I think it's going to hit. That's right there, just like we did a minute ago. Remember what we did? We busted up, pulled back into it. So let's do this instead. That's support, isn't it? Thrust way up through it. Hadn't even checked it yet. So always looking to the left to trade the right. More than likely, that's going to give us a trade right in through there. So I'm going to go ahead and set that. Let's see if we can get it. Oh, there's an ellipse too. We like the ellipse, the predictor. By the way, our other trade, haven't even been watching it, but we need to, obviously, because we've got to move our stop. Over here on this chart. We'll go ahead and get rid of region. We don't need it right now. And we're going to move our stop like right underneath there, don't you think? Exit on close. We just got one contract, so we're okay. And that's the way we actually do these trades like this. Now, if this actually comes back below this little swing here, then we're going to get a little bit more retracement, like right into here where it broke out. But we're going to ride our lightning regardless. Okay, we're going to watch it and see if we can ride micro lightning. If it'll close above the swing, we'll put our stop here. Right now it's got to be here. Everybody see that? If it closes above that, I'm going to go ahead and tighten that stop. Didn't close above it. There, it's doing it. It's doing it. It's doing it. Good deal. Right there. See where your stop would be? Right under that lightning swing. Now somebody's looking and thinking, well, wait a minute. Are we even going to get a trade? Well, we got a trade on this chart, but what's the rule of thumb? We don't chase trades. So I see a trade setting up as we speak. I'd probably be doing this because I like that ellipse right there. See it? See that? See that pull back? We're not going to do counter trending tonight, but I saw that happen and I thought, yep, that looks like a pretty good short. Now they'll sometimes leave you sitting in the dirt too, but not usually when the ellipse is down here and then the next one's way up here. Because what's it doing? It's hit its target and now it's trying to pull back. We may even lose this particular trade over here. Got our stop in. Looks like we're going to actually. Close below, it'll close out. Still got about probably 275 though on that one, even if it closes. And it's got to close below the line. It can't just touch it. See how it's doing? Even though it's touching where the line's at 43.1875, it still hadn't closed. Okay. Now, does everybody see why I've got that trade in way, way down there? If you draw your lightning on your chart, you'll see we're looking for a deeper retracement, right? In other words, we've had a good thrust and we're looking for a check of where it broke out. That's what I'm looking for. Let's see if we can get it. See, if you look over here, for instance, it could even hit its head here. There's a little swing across there, but it actually broke out right across here. So I'd draw two lines on the chart myself. And if it gets anywhere near those two lines, I'd be hitting market order. You could also box it in above mid-band. You know, there's several ways to trade this. There's a conservative way, and there's also a little bit more aggressive way. A little bit more conservative would be taking maybe a sniper above that. Whoa, there's our trade. There's resistance right there. And turn on sniper. Did I turn on sniper? There we go. And get this one out of the way, because we don't want that one. We want a little break up. That's our conservative trade. Everybody see that? Now that's only if it takes out that resistance with a close. Now where would your stop? Oh, we needed to protect our coin, but forgot to move our target on that one. And let me ask you a question. It just came down here. Where do you think it's coming next to check? How about right in through there? Let's see if we can just take another trade on a bar close to the upside. Got to do a little bit more retracing for me, crude. Close the bar. That's good enough. Okay, so we're in this one, feeling a little bit of heat though. See, we're in at 43.17. That's your conservative trade. Now, what's the rule of thumb that you have to do though if you get into a trade and it like wicks you in or closes or whatever, but where's our stop got to be? Well, it's got to be underneath this swing anyway. If we're going to head up, we need a higher low. There, we just got that one. I'm going to move this out of the way, this up to the ellipse, to the predictor, because that's where I expect it to go. See why we call those targets in the room, everyone? Now, I don't know for sure it's going to get to that predictor, but it definitely could. Let's see. Okay. We'll do that, Diane. Matter of fact, on this particular chart, I didn't personally trade it, but I'll show you about the way I would trade it, though. We're doing pretty close to it right now. See how this is breaking up a little bit? Came perfectly right down on top of where we broke out, just a little higher, like on that wick right there. Did at an ellipse, a predictor, and bounced. So we're in the trade, and our stop is just right below the swing, just in case, because this could break down on us. We don't know. I mean, nobody knows, but I can tell you this, that with the lightning heading up the way it is, more than likely we're pretty safe. Okay, let's go ahead and move our target here. We've only got one left. We'll just ride a runner with lightning. And we'll move our stop accordingly. Now, I don't personally like to use this break-even trigger because it gets too close to me. I like to use lightning as my stops, you know, especially since I've already got some coin on it. Because if you use like break-even after a 12-tick move, most times you'll get stopped. If they really jump up, which how many times do you see them actually really jump up to begin with? Basically, Herman, on your question, more the teaching standpoint of it, to where we do that in the webinars. Now see, we're pulling back just a little bit, but they're making higher lows and higher highs, aren't they? Now, let me ask you a quick question. Where do you think another trade is on this chart if you just missed this one? What's our rule? We got to wait for a thrust, right? You've got an ellipse right there telling you where the next trade is. Now, there may be another one form here in a minute instead, but it's telling you, you know, where to look for that trade. You want to see if it'll work? Well, we don't have a third chart, but let's just, we'll add some if it comes down. How's that? We've got one in, and we'll watch for a thrust and another predictor. See if we can get one. And it should be higher than that last one, right? Because what's the rule? Well, if it's going to head up, it needs higher lows and higher highs. So where do I think my next predictor is going to more than likely be? Well, you got one here, you got one here. I'm going to draw two lines. There's one. This one's already been hit, so I don't think it's going to hit it again. And we're going to wait for a thrust and a pullback. See if we can get that. I think too many people actually jump into trades on the thrust. And if you get up and you see that there's just no risk reward on your trade, don't take it. I mean, they can break out and run 100 ticks. There's not a soul on the planet that knows they will or won't. But the majority of time, they check support and resistance before. See, they just check my line. You know, we know about where it's going to go, don't we? Let's see if we can get a thrust, and then we're going to add on a pullback. No thrust yet. It's got to break, what, 43.25, right? It's got to. If it'll break 43.25, we'll consider that a thrust, and we'll wait on a pullback. I'll speed it up a little bit so we can see. Is everybody seeing the support and resistance on the chart a lot clearer with lightning? Do you use that particular indicator a lot? Because I like it pretty well. Well, there we just got stopped out, but it's because we went with this stupid trigger. So what are we going to do? Well, we're not on a thrust now, so we can go ahead and actually take this trade. See it right above the line right there? I'm going to go for some targets. Reason I just took that just then is because it bounced right off that line. And I got it a little later than I wanted because I'm moving it like 10 times normal speed. Okay? But for you that want to add, I'm going to go ahead and add some contracts if we'll get a thrust above and pull back. There's our thrust above. Now watch and see when the predictor prints. Maybe through here, maybe even around mid-band. We'll find out. I'm going to go ahead and go for a runner. Well, we'll go ahead and take some profit at that swing on that one. The reason for that is because you don't want to really run with 3 contracts the whole way, unless you're actually a little bit more. And I did that break even again. Turn this stupid thing off. I'm going to go one more time. There's your ellipse, by the way. Came right into it. See that predictor right there? If you draw that line on it, it's right on the money on that swing. See it right there? I've watched those things, and they do a marvelous job of getting some very, very good trades. Stay with the trend, and you'll be surprised how good you can actually do on it. Now let me ask you a quick question. Where would be our next long-term trade? Because it's staring you right in the face. Remember this run this morning? We called it. I didn't even trade it, but put your stop underneath that swing now. We're flat on this side, so what do we got to do? Well, we got to wait for a retracement, because if you're going to chase a trade, by the way, you got to box in these little areas, and then you put your stop really tight, okay? But you'll find most times if you chase a trade, they're going to pull back some and give you another opportunity to begin with. I would like to see NQ at least pull back into this area here, but see, it basically already has when it popped up and pulled back, so we're not going to chase that trade at all. Now, if you were to chase this trade, this is the way you do it right here. It breaks this little swing. See if we can get that. This is chasing a trade. Sometimes they run like crazy too. See where it just took out that little swing there? We're basically just boxing it in, so to speak. But your stop would have to be right underneath there, exit on close. That's chasing a trade. And when they're running like this, there's times you can let them consolidate like that and go ahead and box them in. Okay? All right, let's look at the chart again. Support and resistance is the topic tonight. So we've looked for where they should pull back into on our little predictors and everything, but where have they not checked as of now on our larger term chart? Well, this didn't even come up to here. This blew through it. So don't you think later on they'll come back to there? So let's get a chart ready. Well, we're already in a trade, so we'll just go ahead and close this one out. We're going to look for a thrust above 2350, like so, and we're going to look for a pullback into it. And we're going to do a region. We're going to pull it all the way back into it, like so. And since they don't always come down exactly to it, I'm going to fade it by 3 or 4 even. We may even go 4 this time. And I'm going to turn this off. That will cost you more money, in my opinion, in lost profit, not necessarily lost money, but it's profits that go away when it comes back to that break-even trigger. All right, so we're going to turn on long at the bottom, turn this one off, turn that on, and hit enter. Now, everybody knows B is the bottom of the box, so that's what we're looking for, okay? Now, we don't know when it's going to pull back, obviously, right? But that's what we're looking for, is that pullback. Think we can get it? And if you want, we'll go ahead and take another trade. If we see, for instance, we haven't had a yellow bar probe, we'll leave this set for a longer term trade. But if we do see another predictor, like right around mid-band, you want to go ahead and take that too? That's fine with me. Because you get those, there's a lightning just drew. Remember, we're not thrust traders though. Unless, if you thrust a trade, you've got to have a fairly tight stop. There's There's a trade right there, by the way. Takes out that little swing right there. I'm going to go long. There it is, mid-band. See it pop below mid-band? Back in. Stop's going to be right underneath there. Now that's without even taking my little box trade. That was came right into predictor. But we're also looking for a longer term trade on this chart, aren't we? Let's see, certain times you take phantoms and sometimes you don't when you say in a webinar. Well, the reason for that is that basically, Art, on your question, I don't personally take every phantom because I trust my lightning indicator quite a lot. And if they have actually taken out what I call my lightning to the downside, to give an example, on like lightning 3 or 4 to give an example, that's usually a little bit riskier phantom because a lot of times they'll just flat break. We had a phantom on crude, as a matter of fact. If I remember right, it was about after the report came out, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure. Let's see. That's pretty close to a phantom right there, by the way. See it? We're looking for that trade right there. And that's pretty much a phantom because it's between line 2 and line 1. So I'm going to take it if it comes down there. And we should be probably trading a few more of, obviously, NASDAQ because it's $5 a tick. You also got an ellipse down there, don't you? Your predictor. Let's see if we can get us a little trade. Does everybody remember this trade this morning? I called this trade in the room live. Now we just got it because we took the support and we did it with 4 ticks. Okay, but remember what we did this morning on this? I'm going to show you the exact trade. Let me slow this down for just a second because this was called in the room live. Bear with me a second. And we're going to go ahead and kill this one. And I'm going to show you exactly how the trade was called. Let's see if we can get it. Bear with me one second. I got that silly thing on top and I can't see my little meter deal. There we go. All right, everybody see this? Where you've got a little box forming here, right? Everybody see a little box? Now watch it in real time. I've got it sped up to about 10 times. There we go. I'm going to slow it down. See that phantom right there that it just bounced off of? We actually boxed this in this morning like this right here. Everybody remember that? Charles even said that was an excellent phantom call on that, remember? You don't have to get it exactly at the moment where it's a phantom because it could have kept breaking down, couldn't it? We don't know as of yet. Breaks above that little swing right there, I'll be in it. Everybody remember that trade? That would be trading exactly the way it was taught in the room this morning. And that trade was called live in the room. And I think a lot of our people took it, as a matter of fact. It's a pretty good trade. But here's one of the ones, Art, that I look for personally. See where this barely took out this top by only just a few ticks? Notice if you draw a line right here, that's a double top basically, right? I'm going to teach a webinar on that in a few weeks on counter trending because I see this all the time and you can definitely short that top right there when you box it in. Because if they don't break and keep going above that little resistance line that now becomes support, they're going to probably give you a good retracement. Okay? But when they, and also when they barely break this area, see where they just dawdled around right here? And another thing that I look for on my phantom type trade is, like I said, I don't want to take this out by very much at all. Okay? Because if you take this out, now this didn't ratchet up very much, only what, 5 ticks maybe? So I don't consider this a low. This is your low way down here to continue heading up. See your high, your low, your much higher high. This low here took out this and even this, so this is your low, much higher high. This is actually your true identified swing on the medium trend. Now that's not to say that we won't short to get down there, because we will. But that is still telling you that that's definitely an uptrend. Another thing to look for in phantom trading too is, you know, how strong is this movement? You know, this is really heading up, isn't it? See how that broke like that? Now Charles, remember, he mentioned that he got in above mid-band. So let's just fire another quick little order above mid-band. Matter of fact, I'll do it with the bar close. As soon as it gets above mid-band. Well, too late, but anyway, we'll do it anyway. See, because that's what happens. They burst up. Okay? Now that was that exact trade that we called in the room, and I'm pretty sure that ran a while because, you know, I didn't even trade NQ. I tell everybody I don't, but I did definitely call that trade. Phantom support trumps pivots lightning support. Well, it does, Dave, with the fact that it just a lot of times just barely takes it out. But keep in mind that 3250 to, what is that figure there? 3375? That's only 5 ticks. I don't consider that taking that out by very much. And you also find out when they do this, that's those double tops where they just barely take it out. You'll see the same thing in your short. Let me see if I can find one. See if we can find a, it's been going up for the last few days, so. Not really too much shorts. Here's some shorts. Let's go ahead and, well, probably not going to be able to raise this chart up because of that trade that's on. But, well, let's see, just like even right down here, to give an example, you know, you've got a like little thrust down. They're basically taking out lightning right across here, so they're trying to change trends. You box it in, you get that trade. That's not a really good example. But see here, this is an example of a phantom that doesn't work as well though, where you've got your lightning 3, so you have your thrust down, retrace thrust. They break this area right through here. Now that's still that same 5 ticks, so that could have rolled over. I would have taken that phantom. And by the way, if you take this phantom right here and it just goes a few ticks and then all of a sudden it's in your face, box it in and flip it. Because remember when Rich used to say, for instance, in the webinars, you can actually just put a buy-in above phantom even. You know, for instance, if you get a phantom trade and it goes down to mid-band, everything's great. But if you actually put a buy-in above phantom, a lot of times that'll really pay off too. Let's go over to the edge of the chart. We're still doing well. Everybody remember that trade today though? Now just think, if you just simply took a few of these trades where you've clearly seen support and resistance, wouldn't that be good? It absolutely would, wouldn't it? Well, Dave, yeah, your phantom basically, your phantom trade, what you're looking for is first time into phantom after a trend change. You got to make sure you get the magenta color first or the green color first if you're looking the short way. And what you're doing is you're looking for the opposite phantom to sell or buy. So in other words, you got your green, see this green, blue and everything? Well, that's a phantom trade right there, or close to it. It came to line 2 anyway. And then this is a real phantom trade right here because it came below line 2 and hit line 1. See, the dynamic trend has, starting with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is your mid band. 5 is this little shadow. 6 is the line. You remember how when we get really into some really good profits and everything and you're starting to really rock it up, that line 6 works really well, and so does stealth, which we call, I think, minor trend now, I believe. But anyway, this we used to call stealth for years and years. We may even go back to doing that on this next release. But this is the stealth line right here. You can even use that as your stop, because on these monster type runs like this, you'll find they do pretty well with stealth. Now, Dave, you see the way you take a phantom, the long is down at the pink, the magenta area, and of course the opposite for the short. The short, you would be looking to go from long to short. See how this went from blue to yellow to magenta? There's a phantom trade. Okay, beautiful first time in. You don't really go for the second and third one, okay, unless it ratchets down on a short, and then you look for that next phantom, okay? But you're only looking for the first one. Now, if it ratchets up like this, see how this came to almost phantom. We still call this a phantom trade because it's really, really close. And obviously it came right down on support too, right through here that we drew. Okay, but you only go for the second one when they really ratchet above. And notice that they did ratchet above there, obviously, right? So you are looking for another phantom then. That was that one right there. If this ratchets up again, you could even look for another one. But keep in mind that a couple of phantoms is usually pretty good, because then you're getting a thrust, retrace, a thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace. And when do they start losing a little bit of their gumption? Well, when you get too many of them. Now, what I always like to do on my charts is I like to draw on them. Okay? When you draw on your charts, you'll be amazed at how well you can do on them. You want to try, I mean, we got 8 contracts on. Obviously, we wouldn't be not watching 8 contracts. We would have our stop under here, and we'd probably easily be selling, 4 of them long before that did that. Okay? But what I was trying to do is show some phantoms and things like that. Now, let's kill this trade. I want everybody to take this same thing I just taught, and I want everybody in this room to tell me where the next trade is. Do you see one? It's coming up. You got to make up your mind quick. Everybody see it? Isn't that perfect? That was that predictor. Now, it's a little riskier if you do predictor when it's above midband, right? We talked about that, because below midband is even better. Now, what I normally do, let me show you what I normally do. I usually do something like this. Let's just close it. I usually go like this. I go, okay, I'm going to go 1 off predictor, all right, and I move my target out of the way. And then if it goes deeper, like at midband, and where do we expect this one to hit its head? Let's look. Thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace. Well, we can't take out this swing right here and stay in the long trend, so to speak, on what we call our minor trend. By the way, we got a nice little trade just then too. Now let me ask you another question then. Where's the next trade on this chart? Where's everybody think? Because there are trades all over the place. You want to see some trades that I taught a couple of weeks ago, and I'm not sure everybody watched the webinar, but I think you'll be amazed at how accurate it can be. I'm going to just take some quick profits, just strictly up to like predictors. We don't care if it runs. I want to show you some things that I like to personally do when they start doing this stuff. When they consolidate, let's just take some coin. We're close enough. All right, where's our next trade? Well, we don't have one yet. We got to get another predictor. Now, if this blows up through here, I don't care, because I'm already out of the trade. So I'm looking for some kind of a retracement, and I'm going to purchase it off of my predictor. Let's see if we can get it. Watch and see how accurate this thing can actually be. There's your a new low. This is your true low now, see, because this was basically a fake top. That's your new low. So I even draw a line there. That's my new low. There was a little trade right there. I think we just missed it. Yep. Everybody see that? We just missed that because I was drawing down here. But see where that came right down to that predictor? Isn't that amazing? Now, if you miss it, you just missed it. So we're going to have to wait for another one, aren't we? We'll just have to wait. That's all there is to it. Everybody see, though, that trade set itself up ahead of time? And you could clearly see that you had a decent trade? We're going to go for, say, 4. We're going to wait for another predictor. We're going to only go for scalp. Let's go for 10 ticks. Because if it comes down here at all, it's going to bounce. We're watching for a predictor. Hopefully a higher low than this, but maybe not, because it is sideways. Maybe even a little lower than this to try to fake people out. We'll find out. There's our predictor, by the way. Everybody see the predictor right there? Hope I don't have it going too fast to catch it, because I'm going to try to do it with the market. Got to come down. There's another predictor right there now. Not there yet. Might ought to turn on Object Trader because I think I just missed that one too. You know what this looks like to me, what it's doing? Well, we're not going to trade counter trend though. If we get an actual break, we'll go ahead and take it. But I'll tell you where it would have to break to me to short this thing, would have to break that swing at least right there. See, because you did have a little ratchet up. This would be a risky trade, but if they do come down, they'll probably come down to at least here. And that is topping out. We'll see. There's even another one now. Lightning 3. That one bounced a little higher than our ellipse, our predictor, but that's okay. We did catch that first one though, didn't we? You're going to see if we can actually take a trade if they take this out for the fun of it. If they do. Didn't close below it yet. I jumped the gun just a tad. Try to get down to support. See the reason that I actually took that one? And you could take those if they can draw on your charts correctly. See, like this one right here even, you could have taken for a quick little pop when it took this out. You might have gotten 5 or 6 ticks. But see, that was actually breaking that swing. Now let's talk about support and resistance. Let's see where our next trade is. This looks like the next one's going to be short. How many of you have seen this over and over where they start, you know, when you start getting yellow bar, blue, then yellow, then red, then yellow, they're doing their dead level best to either change trends or to at least check your lower support. You know, for instance, if they were to come right down here, I would probably buy them. Like even off that ellipse right there, I would probably buy this. You want to try it? Because we're still in an uptrend. See the yellow? If it gets down there. Right at my predictor. Now what do we expect if this is going to head up? Higher lows, right? High, low, higher highs up here. This has not taken out my medium swing. Doesn't mean I can't start shorting this though. Okay, but is this actually a downtrend yet? No, it's not. Not on our what we call lightning 4, right? Or even lightning 3 pretty much, because you basically have just done nothing but kind of come down here and check, and you got a higher low just then. Now when it starts doing this and you're going sideways though, see if you can actually look for a trade at support, pardon me, at resistance. Because if this is going to head down, it should hit its head at that ellipse, that predictor. A little higher. There's a mid-band trade setting up. That's good enough. See the rollover? Now I'm going to put this tight just in case this is still heading up. Now, let me ask you a question. By what we're seeing on this chart right now, if this is still an uptrend, but we're with a red background and everything right now, but see that just kicked in? See that 24 and a quarter, 23? That's a higher low. Now, it doesn't mean I can't short it here because I got a red background, I got a magenta midband, and all I'm trying to do is anytime I've got that, I go from resistance to support. Okay, and you want to fade it a little bit too, because if it is going to head up, we expect higher lows again, and you could draw a trend line too, like that. Okay. Now, what if this was to head up? I don't know what it did after we close, because I'll bet this is going to be way after we close. But where's there a trade on this chart if this is going to continue up? Above here, you'd wait. If it does it, that is, if it was to thrust up and pull back into this area, you'd be looking for a trade if we continue on this long trend. Now, we don't know until they take this out if we're going to head short. Does everybody see that? When that new indicator shows up on that chart, it's going to actually show this still as a long chart, by the way. Doesn't mean I can't short it, because my shorter term indicator is going to be red as it can be over here. Okay? Look at there, we just got us another trade. We're almost out of time. Matter of fact, we are, but let's just see if we can tell where another trade is. Okay, what does everybody think? What does everybody think on that? Well, you've definitely got a phantom trade that we just missed. But since this is an uptrend, where do you think this will pull back to? What does everybody think? Well, more than likely it's going to pull right back into midband, isn't it? See, there's your swing. It thrust up through it. You're kind of expecting it to come back and kiss it. There's your little thrust. There's my buy. Now, by the way, if that goes through that next swing, I'm out, because that's your lightning swing right there. See it? So I'd put my stop just under there, because that's my lightning swing. Now, why did I take that long instead of short just then? Because it thrust up above my midband. That's those box-in trades we even talk about. If you would have boxed in here, you never got a long. But if you boxed in like even under here, like above this line, you probably did get a long. But don't they do that continually though? To where they continually break up above resistance and come back and kiss it as support. And they do the exact same thing when they break below support and come back and kiss it as resistance. And like I say, I don't know what this did the rest of the day because we closed the room at 10 o'clock. But looking at this chart, is that a short? Not really, is it? Well, my new indicator will probably get you short right here, like we just did just a minute ago. You'd get short here on that ellipse. If it breaks above here, you're looking for a thrust up and a pullback, and we just got it. Okay? And you can check this time and time again, and you'll find out that they pull back into these mid bands and these support areas, and then they take off again. Okay? What does everybody think? Are you seeing a little bit clearer where support and resistance is? Just a little? A little easier to see, isn't it? Because the whole idea is, you know, to give you an example, where we just got in right here on this little trade, right around 10 o'clock-ish, right? Where do you think it's pulling back into right now? Well, it just did it. You just got you a trade right there at that ellipse. I missed it, and we're already flat, but see it? It just came perfectly into that little area right there within a couple of ticks, hit my predictor, and off she went. And if you miss that one, what do you think is going to happen? What do you actually think is going to happen? It's going to pull back into another one. You want to just check it real quick and see? Let's just check one more, and then we're going to wrap. All right, let's say we didn't get this one, even though I called it out live. Where's your next trade on this chart? How about a predictor? Let's see if it comes down to one. I won't be able to tag it because I'm going like 500 times. Didn't get that predictor right there. There you go. Just did. See it? You could have gotten that one for 10 ticks, and you could have gotten that one for more than 10 ticks. Great stuff. I mean, I'm here to tell you, if you learn to see these predictors on this chart, and again, keep in mind that these charts continually move like this and give you higher lows and higher highs. Don't fall for just staying short for a long-term trend on this. You know, for instance, when I traded that just a little bit ago, we weren't expecting it to come down any further than that trend line. So you can scalp those, can't you? That's what you want to do, is you want to scalp them. Look at that coming right down to that predictor again. Mercy be. Just trade after trade after trade. Is this even still a downtrend yet? Even though we got that background and everything? No, it's still an uptrend so far. Now it could become a downtrend because we got a red background. We got a medium trend that's actually turning yellow now. But so far, see there? It's just continuation of an uptrend. High, low, higher low than that one, isn't it? And that new indicator that you're going to get very shortly is going to draw a little box. You're going to be able to move it anywhere you want it, and it's going to show you all four trends. All right. My lightning my lightning settings always, Ed, are on the lightning 3 is 4 range chart, 15 swing strength. You can even change your predictors if you want. See how that came down to that predictor again? Why can't a person just scalp those even? You know, 4 contracts, to give an example, is 20 bucks. That's a 20 tick trade. That's $400. See what I mean? And they just do it over and over and over. You got to start really trusting these support and resistance areas. Yes, Robert, you can call after the webinar. All right. Thanks, everyone, for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll trade tomorrow, and I'll have this posted on the website very shortly. Thanks again. Be sure and watch these predictors. They'll make you some coin. We don't call these trades out for the fun of it in the room. They work. Bye, everyone. Thanks.